super strong, and the vibes is never.
Welcome back to Good Morning Tobago on Tobago Updates. Viewers, tomorrow, April 23rd, is World Book and Copyright Day. And you're probably wondering, okay, so why is this so important and why do we have a segment on this? Well, we're going to tell you why as we bring in our next guest, who's an author, Mr. Francis Daniel. Good morning and welcome to you, Mr. Daniel. How are you doing?
Good morning, good morning. I'm doing well. So happy to be here with you.
All right, great. So we're speaking about World Book and Copyright Day. First of all, tell us, why is this a thing? Why should we have a day to recognize this?
Well, I mean, there's so many authors that are coming up with books on an annual basis. I think it's just something that you want to recognize. I mean, you are basically putting out a piece of culture, obviously literature culture. So it's a good thing that you just have it known that, hey, we want to celebrate the books that are being put out there, the authors as an adjacent part of it. And then just highlighting that importance of copyright, because again, a lot of authors may not know exactly what it entails, what protections they have. So this day really encompasses all of that and really just shows us, the importance of recognizing our authors and their books.
Great. And of course, there's also an important component, which is that of copyright, because I know we live in a society where, we like to get things underhanded, through unscrupulous means and so on. But there is an implication for that. So I want you to tell us a little bit about that copyright aspect of things.
Yeah, I think that's the number one question I get from authors. They want to know, okay, when I put my book out there, what are the things I need to look out for? How do I protect my work? And it's so interesting because when we talk about copyright, it's different in different regions. So, for example, in Trinidad and Tobago, you can basically write your manuscript or write your book, mail it to yourself, and that can be enough proof that your work is yours. Um, there's even different organizations that help with the copywriting process. So there's the Intellectual Property Office in Trinidad as well, and even CARICOM and the different CARICOM organizations basically help authors with that. The thing is, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want someone taking your words and using them as your own, right? There needs to be some level of protection, and I think there just needs to be general information out there to help guide authors to know what persons can and can't do when it comes to using the rules within your book. So it's really all about just sharing that information, letting persons know what their protections are and how they can protect themselves.
All right. And when we think about books, and especially in this day, this digital age that we live in, where, people are not necessarily akin to reading books. They might read short articles online. But I want us to talk a little bit about just the importance of books and, why should we encourage our people that despite what's out there on the digital space, that we should always, try to get our hands on our noses into books a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I am a key. One of my key beliefs is that you should be a lifelong learner. You should be aiming to learn something new every day. And what better way to do that not through books? But I personally love self-help books, but there are books that can help with different things. There are books just to unwind. There are books for creativity. There are books that help you get from point A to point B. And I think even when you speak of books, there's just so many ways that you can absorb a book. You can get a Kindle, an ebook version of it. You can even do an audiobook. So there are different ways to cater for the different types of individuals and how they like to learn. Because once you're continually adding that value to yourself, it compounds over time. And you'll find that that value that you're adding to yourself extends to the world, and then people see you as valuable, and that opens more doors, gives you more opportunities. Even when I wrote my first book that year, I just happened to be working on, I want to read one book a week. So by the time it was time to write my book, I think I had read about 60 books. And the ideas that were like skimming in my mind, it just gave me so many different options for what I can write, how it can affect persons, and it extended to my personal life and my business life. So really just that vast array of knowledge that you can get from books, it's second to none. It really just takes 10 minutes, 20 minutes, even 30 minutes of reading a day can change your life.
Mm-hmm. And, tell me a little bit about yourself as well, because of course you're an author and you've written a couple books.
Mm-hmm. Yes, so I've written three books. One is The Millennial Mind, which actually launched at the beginning of COVID, The Millennial Experience. And my third book, which was launched last year, is called How to Write and Self-Publish a Book as an Aspiring Caribbean Author. So the funny story is, I would have put up my books, did pretty well, and a lot of aspiring authors reached out to me and asked, okay, how do I do the same? And through that experience of educating authors, I realized, I should open a publishing company. So that's what have helped me to start my company, One Momentum Publishing, writing my third book to just help those aspiring authors in a way where I don't need to necessarily speak to them on a one-on-one basis. They can always take a look at the book. And that just cascaded into all kind of different things, hosting an annual author conference, creating spaces for authors to sell their books, to promote themselves, and so much more that we want to work on and get done.
Certainly. And what would have inspired you to start writing in the first place?
So, I'm an entrepreneur. I believe my journey started as a leadership development coach. And it started with a very simple question that came to me one day. How could I help someone without me being present in front of them? And I guess God sent, I just got the idea, hey, write a book, which of course seemed terrifying at the time because I had no knowledge on how to write, what to do when you finish writing, and where to put it out there and all that. And it was from that initial idea, did some research, started writing, and realized that when persons are reading your book and you're trying to impact them in a particular way, and you're able to help them in the way that you set out to do, it's so amazing. It's a feeling that's second to none. You just want to put out more information, help more persons. And yeah, every author you see, they light up when they get that feedback from someone where what you wrote hits them in the exact way that you want it.
Mm-hmm. And of course, you are also part of, as you mentioned earlier, hosting a conference for authors and so on to teach them a little bit about, of course, writing books, but also the copyright system so that they can protect their work.
Yeah. So, for me, when I did the conference last year, it was really just to put the word out there on, hey guys, this is how you self-publish. You have these ideas, you've written your book, you don't know what to do next, here's the information. That was one part of the conference. The other part of the conference was something we call the Author Village, which is basically creating a community of authors and prospective authors so that if you have questions, if you have concerns, if you feel like you're just alone in the wilderness trying to figure this all out, the group is meant to help you. But then we would have events where we can create a space where, hey, you can just come, set up, we market it together, and persons can come and purchase your books. Because a lot of authors, they tend to be very heavily creatives. But outside of that, they don't know what else to do to engage their audience. So if I can create a space where they can come, meet a new audience, engage with persons, get some books sold, I think I'm hitting a part of my mission. Because especially when we did our first author conference and you had persons coming in, they're seeing all these local authors and they're thinking to themselves, I did not know that we had this many local authors. I did not know that we had local authors writing all these different genres of books. You're talking about kids' books, self-help books, spiritual books, all different genres. And I think the more we do things like this, the more we're able to show persons that, hey, there's an alternative option. You don't always have to buy that international book. You can get that book homegrown right here in Trinidad and Tobago and in the Caribbean, depending on what territory you are in.
Certainly. And of course, for those that are writing their books and are also worried about, the copyright, how to sort all that copyright issue to ensure that their work is protected, what would you say to them? And, how did you find, is the process easy? Is it difficult?
Yeah. So this is something that I struggled with because, again, when I had my first book, I did not know really where to turn. And it's funny that I didn't think about this back then, but the natural inclination should just be to reach out to your local library. They have a vast array of information on these topics. They will know exactly what you need to do. Because as I said, in each Caribbean territory, a copyright process may be a bit different. So you want to make sure that what you're doing covers yourself. So we know what we do here in Trinidad, it might be different on a different island, but I am sure if you go to your local library, for us we have NALIS, have a conversation with them, tell them, hey, I want to put out a book, I want to protect myself. What are the steps? I am a staunch believer in putting out information, so I'm always putting out content on my platforms, One Momentum Publishing, on what you should know, what you should do, and there are others like me there. So, there's just ways to educate yourself. I think the first step is really just reaching out to the individuals, like the library or those who might have the information, and just ask them for some advice.
And of course, I mean, they can get some advice as well tomorrow at the World Book and Copyright Day celebration, I
Yeah.
guess. So tell us a little bit
Yeah,
about what do you have planned.
Yeah, so basically we're doing an author village pop-up event. The goal is, it's World Book and Copyright Day. I really wanted to create a space for these authors to be seen, engage with, the community, sell some books. So we're actually going to be set up in Independence Square on the promenade. We'll have a few authors there showing their work. Persons can come, take a look at the books that they're doing, maybe purchase a copy. Because as I said, sometimes it's difficult for these authors to really put these things in place. They're so focused on the creative side, they may not focus on, okay, how do I engage with my community? How do I engage with others? How do I sell copies? So one of the main goals that we have is really setting up a space for them on a consistent basis where they can sell their book, So it's a celebration of World Book Day, talking about copyright, but then also creating those spaces for authors to say, okay, I can engage with persons, I can get my book sold, and really empowering them to show that, okay, there's more that I can do outside of what I've already been doing.
Certainly. And then, of course, we have, this is happening in Trinidad, but is there any accommodation for people in Tobago that might be interested, even if it's just to be part of the sessions and so on? Is there like an online facility for them?
Yeah, so what we tried to do is we had a concierge package, so someone could sign up if you're, let's say, an author in Tobago. With the concierge package, you could send your book to us, and then we would set up a table where it's different books, or we're selling them on your behalf, because again, it also is a Wednesday, so not everyone can get any way that they would like. So the concierge package really kind of helps you to get in that way. Another way is on the website, so ompublishing.org, we try to create a space for authors to put their book information out there. So we have a page that's dedicated to just local authors, information on their books, and where persons can find their books. So if you go on the website, it's free to sign up. We put your information up there. We're always cycling through it because, again, we just want to create more and more spaces for authors to be able to promote themselves, push their books, and any way that we can really help. Because as somebody who wrote a book and felt like I really did not know what was the best decisions for me at the time. I don't want anybody to feel that way. So, we try to create all of this systems so that once your book is out there, you know what different options you have, whether it is marketing, whether it's getting into bookstores, whether it's selling a book, whether it's getting into author pop-up shops, anything, right? So that's really the goal.
Right. And then, of course, when you said like you have a lot of authors on board with you. How vast is your pool of authors on your website?
Right. So right now, we actually have a WhatsApp group and a Facebook group. I think it's about 350 strong at this point. The majority are local authors and aspiring authors from Trinidad and Tobago, but we have authors and prospective authors from all over the Caribbean, from Barbados, Guyana, and they're just sharing information there. And of course, to all the authors in the group and persons outside, we offer for them to sign up, put a book on the website. I mean, it's been a while since I checked, but I'm sure we're up to about maybe 200 at this point. Because again, these authors want to take any opportunity to be able to promote themselves. So they're not going to see these opportunities and say no. But the group, I love the group because you get the same questions from authors. They want to know, okay, how do I protect my work? How do I put my book up onto Amazon? Where are there opportunities for me to sell my book? And obviously, I want to get to everyone, but because the group is full of knowledgeable individuals, I don't always have to answer. There are persons who are ready to send the information, share, because they understand the mission. They understand that they don't want any author or aspiring author to feel like they don't have resources. So we're all kind of helping each other in there so that we can grow as authors and even as an aspiring author know what the next steps are.
And you know what's also interesting is that in this time we're seeing a lot more authors coming from the
Yeah,
Caribbean. And what
yeah.
does that say about just our literary future?
Yeah, it's showing that it's bright. It's showing that we have that level of creativity. We have these individuals who are courageous enough to put words to paper and share it with the world because it is a scary thing because it
Mhm.
opens yourself up to criticism, but it's showing that persons want to share themselves in in this literature way. You know, it also speaks to the fact that I believe publishing now is easier than it's ever been, right? So, for example, if somebody wants to self-publish, it's easier now than it's ever been. The traditional publishing route can be difficult because you have to find a publishing house that's willing to take your book on and then market it and do all the in-betweens to get it out there. But self-publishing is now a very viable option. There's a lot of information out there. I share about it all the time because you want to be able to let somebody know, okay, you can self-publish, you can hire a publishing company to do the in-between for you. The options are there for you. So it's showing that people are seeing maybe a local author and they actually know who they are. They're getting the information and they're feeling empowered to write what's close to their heart and putting it out there to the world and sharing it so that they're encouraging other generations to want to do the same. And I couldn't be happier to see that kind of change and development.
Certainly. All right. Well, I want to thank you so much, for Mr. Francis, for being on with us and for sharing. And just quickly before we go, just give our viewers the information about where they can connect with you, be part of your conference, or just be part of your group.
Right. So again, the event is tomorrow on World Book and Copyright Day. We're going to be on Independence Square, the promenade between FCB and RBL there. So come through, take a look at the books that we have, say hi to the authors, support local authors. We get a copy of a book. If you're interested in getting involved in this event or any other events, because we'll be doing a few throughout the year, you can find us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. It's One Momentum Publishing, or you can look for our author group. It's called the Caribbean Author Village. We're open to all those who are authors or even aspiring authors because, again, we're here to share information. So if you're interested, you can reach out through those avenues.
All right, great. Thank you again, Mr. Francis. And viewers, well, that's how we're going to leave things this morning. Thank you so much for viewing, and I certainly hope you have a safe and wonderful day in whatever you do. I know today is that unofficial holiday for Tobago, but whatever you do, please enjoy, and we'll see you again tomorrow.